Photography is more than just capturing what we see. It's about discovering the extraordinary in the ordinary, finding patterns in chaos, and revealing the hidden geometry that exists all around us. Throughout history, photographers have strived to show us familiar scenes in unfamiliar ways, but few have done this as boldly and distinctively as Franco Fontana. Vivid, minimal, surreal. These aren't just landscapes. They're Franco Fontana's worlds. This is episode 4 of Street Study. Born in Modena, Italy in 1933, Franco Fontana didn't study photography in a prestigious art school. In fact, he had no formal training. He worked as a decorator, a job that, ironically, shaped his sense of form, line, and of course, color. It wasn't until the 1950s that he picked up a camera, initially just as a hobby. His early works were more traditional, black and white, realistic, but something about his work didn't sit right with him. He wanted to show what they felt like, what they meant. Then came a breakthrough, a trip to Basilicata in southern Italy. The landscape was empty but alive. Bold colors, strong lines. Suddenly, his camera was no longer a tool for documentation. It was a brush, and the world became his canvas. From that moment on, Fontana chased abstraction, minimalism, and the emotional language of color. His bold use of color in minimal compositions created a unique visual language that would eventually influence generations of photographers. People often associate Fontana's work as resembling abstract expressionism, and rightfully so. His true influences weren't just photographers. They were painters, visionaries of color. He drew deep inspiration from artists like Mark Rothko, Piet Mondrian, and Barnett Newman, all of whom were architects of abstraction, not known for what they showed, but for how they arranged space, color, and silence. I've always endeavored to interpret and convey what deeply resonates within me. However, I began to perceive possible parallels with renowned painters when my interest in art, particularly painting, became more profound. It was a visual understanding of color and space that already existed within my perception. While other photographers were primarily working in black and white, Fontana chose to embrace color, nearly 2 decades before it was even considered a legitimate art form. Fontana stood firm in his artistic vision, despite the skepticism, because he wasn't trying to imitate life. He was trying to reimagine it, just as his influences did. Color is the place where our brain and universe meet. Fontana broke the rules of traditional landscape photography. His genius lies in his ability to simplify complex landscapes into bold geometric shapes. Removing unnecessary details, he compressed the landscape into abstract, horizontal bands. Sky, land, field, flattened by a telephoto lens into pure form. As a result, he created powerful, abstract compositions that feel like minimalistic paintings. The sky becomes a solid blue bar. A field becomes a sheet of gold. Trees turn into vertical punctuation marks. To Fontana, these aren't objects. They're visual elements in a composition. And that's key. He composes more than he captures. These images straddle the boundary between documentation and pure artistic expression, transforming everyday scenes in challenging our perception of reality. And the telephoto lens was his ultimate tool. It compresses distance, turning depth into design. Perspective collapses. What's near and what's far no longer matter. While most people think of Fontana's work in nature, his vision didn't just end at the edge of the countryside. In fact, some of his most compelling work was not done in nature, but in the heart of the city.
Finito, quasi esaurito, diciamo, la parte del paesaggio naturale in modo creativo come l'ho rappresentato io, un viaggio in America nel 1979, ho trovato là quel paesaggio urbano che era, diciamo, la conseguenza o l'evoluzione del paesaggio naturale. Le campiture erano, invece di erba o di grano, erano superfici colorate delle case, queste cose, no? Il paesaggio urbano praticamente è nato in America, cioè non poteva nascere a Firenze. C'era queste storie di superfici, di case, insomma, di cose colorate nel senso che rappresentavano nel colore o nell'impostazione la stessa possibilità che potevo dare realizzando con la stessa tecnica, lo stesso linguaggio, capisci, con lo stesso alfabeto, il contenuto che avevo dato nel paesaggio naturale.
Fontana approached the city just as he did with rolling fields. He hunted for color, light, and shape, the same visual elements he abstracted from the natural world. Just like his landscapes, Fontana's urban photos are not about place. They're about perception. In his eyes, a highway overpass and a Tuscan hillside could be composed the same way, as bands of color, as poetry in lines and curves. He applied those same principles to the urban environment, using buildings, streets, and infrastructure as geometric elements in his compositions. And he didn't shy away from including people in his images either, using figures as visual elements. These aren't portraits, they aren't posed. The presence of people in his photos are, instead, compositional accents. Fontana once said, "The visible does not necessarily show the invisible." And that's where people come in to his work. Their presence adds scale, narrative, and ambiguity. I personally find it so fascinating to see how artists transfer their style into other settings. For example, how Harry Gray art transitions from shooting the gritty streets of Europe to the pastel-like world of Morocco. It's a testament to how strong artistic vision can transform any subject matter into something uniquely personal and powerful. While there's much discussion in photography about developing our own style, we rarely talk about creating a visual language that can work across different subjects. And this is where many photographers get stuck, trying to replicate a specific look, rather than developing a consistent way of seeing that transcends subject matter. Fontana's work shows us that a strong visual signature isn't about repeating the same types of photos, but about applying consistent principles to diverse situations. And it's one of the greatest lessons someone like Fontana can teach us, just by studying his work. Today, you can see Fontana's fingerprints all over modern photography. From minimalist Instagram feeds to fine art landscapes that prioritize color over context, to a lot of the work we see in advertising and fashion photography. And at the time he was creating most of his work, his style showed that color photography could be just as artistically valid as black and white. Franco Fontana didn't just change photography, he changed how we see. He taught us that the world isn't made up of things, it's made up of perception. That color is not just decorative, it's emotional. That space is rhythm. That silence is part of the story. Franco Fontana's work continues to whisper, and sometimes shout, that beauty is all around us, if you just take the time to frame it, to isolate it, to feel it. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this video, appreciate it if you'd leave a comment of a photographer you'd like to see in a future street study video. Ideally, I'd like to own a book of their work. I feel like photo books are one of the best ways to study a photographer's work. So yeah, share me some book recommendations as well. Speaking of book recommendations, that is something I am personally trying to grow. My book collection, and as you can see behind me, put together this beautiful looking bookshelf. Actually, I didn't, my dad did. Recently, I curated a page on my website featuring some photo books that I really enjoy and recommend to all of you, and I want to expand this page. Obviously, to do that, I need to buy more books, so you can see where I'm going here. Speaking of my website, it was built by Squarespace, today's sponsor. Not gonna get a better transition than that. Squarespace is a website building platform perfect for creatives, entrepreneurs, and business owners. I've been using them for almost a decade, which is crazy. I first made my Squarespace website in 2016, and it's almost 2026, so yeah, that'd be 10 years. Anyway, I've used them for so long, way before they decided to sponsor my YouTube channel, which I'm very grateful for. It's really let me build my professional portfolio, but not only that, it's actually given me the freedom to, extend conversations like the one we had today beyond my videos, through features like this book recommendation page I put together and my blog. And of course, it's become a home for my photography portfolio, and it's helped me grow my business in so many different ways. If you're ever interested in checking out Squarespace and making a website for yourself, you can try them out for free. Visit squarespace.com/Faizal and use the code Faizal to get 10% off your first purchase. All right guys, thanks for watching, and I really mean it. Drop your recommendations below because I'll be looking at every single comment.